Hi, welcome to Cambridge Inside Out with
Robert Winters.
and Judy Nathans.
Welcome. This is November 3rd, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2015.
Election night.
Today is election day, election night. I think right now we're recording this about 5:30.
Yes.
And the polls are open until 8 p.m. today.
Right. So if you're watching this on your computer or TV and you haven't voted, you still have a chance.
That's right. And you can go shake the hands of political people and various others.
They'll be out a lot this hour. Yeah.
Everybody's working the polls today, definitely.
Right.
It's sort of it's always kind of a wistful moment, I think, in the end of the political season,
especially for you.
Yeah, I mean, actually,
so closely.
Sometimes I even remember back in days when I was a candidate.
When was that?
Back in the 1990s.
Oh my goodness!
Right? So decades ago.
Yes.
And there's actually this moment every year when you get close to the day when you can pick up nomination papers, where I think anyone who's ever been a candidate kind of, at least the thought flashes through your mind briefly. Yeah. You say, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then you say, no, I'm not going to do that.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of focus. So it gets to be a little nerve-wracking. I kind of remember I was developing a little twitch.
Do you remember what your how you came in?
Actually, the first time I ran, there was the most candidates.
You ran more than once?
Yeah, but for the first one, it was three. I think it was 2 or 3 open seats.
Oh my goodness!
1993, and there were 29 candidates.
Well, yeah, 3 open
huge.
seats.
Yeah,
wow.
And the big talk of the day was, well, where's the Danny Heat vote going to go? Tom Danny had retired, and the question where his vote's going to go. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first year when Alice Wolfe was not running.
Really? That long ago?
Yeah,
and she went to the
she was like a top vote getter, so where her vote's going to go. So there was a lot of reason for people to want to jump in and be a candidate that year.
Yes.
So there were a lot of credible candidates. It was actually the first year that Michael Sullivan was a candidate, first year for Anthony Galluccio.
You bring back these memories that Michael Sullivan.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Sullivan, right.
Mike, yeah.
I'm thinking of David Sullivan, but they're not related.
Yeah, I think David had retired.
Was David Sullivan a city councilor?
Yeah, until I think he didn't run in '89, so there was multiple open seats that year.
Right. Okay.
But the truth is that whenever the season rolls around, there's a little piece of any candidate or former candidate that at least sort of does that little momentary wonder.
Yes.
You know, I mean, every once in a while I would think, maybe I should run for school committee. But I don't know if I'm particularly well suited for candidacy anymore. So I think we're going to call that.
Definitely not school committee.
Definitely not. But the other thing is, I think having been a candidate once upon a time, even if I think I came in right in the middle of the pack.
Did you?
Yeah. So I did okay. But
the middle of the pack would mean you would be on board, no? You mean middle of the pack and
remember 29 candidates.
Middle of the pack of the 29.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the first 9,
Yeah. So anyway, there were some very strong candidates and people who really ran really strong campaigns. I never knew how to run a campaign.
I don't think you raised money, did you?
Not really. In many ways, for me, it was more about just the process and enjoying being a candidate in those days. But the thing is that the years roll by. You don't have to be a candidate. There's still, it's still that sort of phantom response that you get. So when I see candidates getting all anxious, I saw some of them. I guess Monday night was a city council meeting, and it's traditional.
Sure.
Actually, one of the great traditions that has often been violated in recent years was that the night before election day, the meeting was really short.
Yeah, I always thought that. Was it this time too?
It actually was really short.
Yeah.
They were out of there by 7-something, but there were years long ago that they started at 5:30. I don't actually remember exactly when they used to start back then, but they'd be over in an hour because they want to go out and make late phone calls and do all the things that candidates need to do.
Right.
So this went on till 7, something like that. But I went up to a few of the incumbents and gave them a handshake and say, "Good luck tomorrow." And you could kind of see, even though I think these are people who will probably be reelected, they had that kind of look in their eye. The old, I don't know, maybe this will be the one when I when things don't spin my way. there's something about candidacy that puts you in a position of tremendous vulnerability.
Yeah.
We say it's especially when it's incumbents wanting to be reelected.
Well, especially if they haven't been on the council that long.
Exactly.
And they came in maybe 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah, but I often liken it to sort of not being asked to the prom. Right,
oh,
you're sort of, it's sort of like you're sitting there going like, oh no, please, have me back again, have me back.
It's hard because it's not like you go away. You live in that city. You live in the city, and
Absolutely.
you see your friends. It's not like running for president. You go back to the state you came from or something.
Yeah, and I think candidates and certainly sitting city councilors, sitting school committee members, for the most part, they really pour their heart and soul into the jobs.
Yes.
And if you're doing that and you sort of think you're doing the right things and you're appealing to the people you think you should appeal to, and then they don't ask you back, that's kind of hard to take.
Yes.
So, so I always feel, in spite of all the rhetoric and people competing, and I like them and I don't like them and these guys, when it really gets down to it, right on election day, I think even people who have very different stripes feel a certain amount of sympathy for their fellow candidates.
I don't know about that this time.
Well, no,
maybe,
they still want to win, and if it means the other guy losing for you to win, but it doesn't mean they feel great about it.
Yeah. It's maybe how the Mets felt about Kansas City. I don't know.
Yeah. What's the name of the second baseman with the Mets? Was it Murphy or?
Was he the set?
I don't remember. Basically, it was a guy who in the next to last game, he let the ball go through him.
Not like Buckner, but yes.
Well, it
went under his glove. Yes.
It was like a mini Buckner.
Right.
And it wasn't a pivotal situation.
No. I watched. But
Mets fans will probably be reminding him of that next year.
Yeah, even though he hit 6 home runs in the.
What have you done for me lately?
I know.
Anyway, so a long campaign season. Arguably, the campaign for re-election begins the day you're elected the previous time. At least it seems like that these days sometimes.
Well, it's every 2 years. Is that common around
other
cities? And it seems too often.
For municipal elections, it's pretty common.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, back until I think 1921, it certainly within a year or two of 1921, they actually changed the system. It used to be every year.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it was every year, and then it was a big reform is to have it be every other year.
Wow. It just seems like you're always running, but it's well in a way it's actually good, although some same people have been on for years, so clearly it doesn't necessarily refresh itself.
I think
all the time.
You don't have to sort of obsess over your reelection. You can just sort of be a good city councilor and perform well, and just make sure people know what you're doing,
right.
And then that's your campaign there. You don't. It's sort of you don't have to lift a finger. You just sort of do your job well.
And again, the way Cambridge is, you really don't need to get everybody's vote. You need to get the quota. You need to get that, whatever the number is.
I think one thing that kind of works against candidates these days is that we don't really have a good journalistic mechanism these days.
What do you mean?
Well, people like me, I put things up on a website.
Right.
Other people do the same. The Cambridge Chronicle really should have wide circulation, but it doesn't.
Well, that's interesting. I only go to that when I see an article, because I used to get it when it was really the Cambridge Chronicle. Now it's Wicked Local or whatever it is.
Yeah. But
I didn't like the stories, but I probably should look at it more. Yeah.
Maybe, but the thing is they need to sort of.
You don't think they haven't written up stuff very well?
Well, actually, it depends on who the reporters are, and sometimes they've been good.
Yeah.
And you sort of want to encourage it when they're good, and try and make suggestions when it's not so good. But even if they did their job, the degree to which people pay attention to local civic and political affairs these days is a shadow of what it once was years ago.
Well, it's the demographics have changed.
It's definitely changed. I was looking at circulation figures for the Cambridge Chronicle. Why I look at these things, I can't explain. But
well, I'm curious. What is it? Or what did it change from?
It's many years ago. If you were to, back half a century ago, the city's population was probably comparable to what it is today. And
which is a little under 100,000.
It was over 100,000, I think, in those days.
Yeah.
And those are the days when you would have the circulation of the Chronicle would be between 25, 30,000, and that's families, and
That's a lot of
and
people.
multiple
Yeah.
people within the family. So you actually
Right.
had the local paper might actually be reaching
A lot of people.
Yeah. more than half the population.
Right.
So if people paid any attention, and if you had your local elected officials who were busy doing good things, people would just be aware of it.
Right.
They didn't have to. You didn't have to do a campaign to inform
Right.
people what you've been up to.
Right.
You didn't have to send out an email blast that says,
Yeah.
this is what's happening and this is what I'm doing, and whatever. People just tended to know a little bit more. And people also felt more invested in local civic and political affairs, and so they wanted to know more about what their local
So they don't
officials
cover
were.
the forums? They don't have
I
people go
don't-
to the forums
I
and
don't
write 'em
actually
up?
know if they did. I think, and I've said this section in the previous
Yeah.
program. I want to be the biggest fan of the Cambridge Chronicle, but I don't think they did a single. They used to do candidate profiles. They didn't do any of that.
True, yeah.
They didn't put any pictures. They didn't do anything.
Well, there's no local investment in it because it's not locally owned or anything, right?
I think that's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
So they just sort of checked out and just changed to a policy of allowing letters to be written. And if you've been around here long enough, you look at the people who wrote the letters and go, "Yep, that person's
yep.
associated with this campaign.
Right.
This person
Right.
associated with that
Right.
campaign." So it's not like the
Right.
people are rising up and
Right.
speaking. No, it's campaigns basically
Yeah.
submitting the articles rather than reporters writing the articles.
Right. Well, yeah, that's
You know?
happened with a lot of, like, is it an ad or is it press or is it news?
Yeah.
It's happened in magazines. It's happened.
Yeah. So it's a
whole
problem.
other
So how
story? Yeah.
do people actually keep up on what's happening in sort of civic and political affairs?
Cambridge
Honestly,
Community Television.
well,
Yeah.
listen, I've become
Yeah.
a real booster for that.
I mean, you can see it online,
I want,
tonight, we should keep saying that because you're going to disappear soon.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
It's a live coverage, yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Cambridge
starting
Community Television at 8 o'clock?
I think 8 o'clock is the witching hour this year.
And do they stop at a certain point? We've done this before.
I actually dropped by the Election Commission today because I was curious what the exact procedure would be. And also I wanted a little reminder, because sometimes when you're doing the live election programming, you actually, believe it or not, you start to become a little unaware of the passage of time.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You're sort of strapped in, there are wires running through you, and you're interviewing people and chatting and whatnot. And then there's the nervousness. It's sort of like the sympathetic response to candidates.
Right.
You feel their nervousness.
Yeah.
And when the election results are announced, you witness their elation. If they win, I won't name names, but I have certainly been there with candidates with tears in their eyes. It's not an easy thing. It's a very difficult thing. I think everybody gets over it, quick enough, but it's a very difficult thing. And, it'd be one thing if I was this dispassionate person who didn't know any of the people involved.
But you do know, so
but I know
it gets
a lot
personal.
of these people,
Yes.
and you spend time
Yes.
interacting with them. It's you feel it.
So is it set up? I've never gone. I'm going to stop by tonight. But is it set up in a part of the senior center, like the CC? I mean, your booth. Do you have a booth, or are you walking around?
Yeah, I'm up on the mezzanine level, looking down there.
I mean, you and Susanna will have at some kind of setup, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just guessing how it's always been, which is, the room where the counting is happening will actually be behind me. So if the curtains are open, you probably look right
is it
through.
where the tables are? When I've gone to forums where they have, they clear that space, right? And then there's a room next to it.
Yeah.
Is that?
That's right. If you go into the senior center, you go straight into the ballroom in the back. That's where the count's happening, and they really need a lot of room.
Okay, so that's the count. So you're off in that side room.
And I'm off to the side room where they have the bingo, where they play bingo. I think.
Okay, but it's a smaller room, so that's where you're going to.
Yes, and presumably.
And that's where CCTV
the cameras
is set
will be
up.
facing toward where the count's going on, and we'll just sort of be in between.
So will there be 2 cameras?
Oh, they're well set.
No, seriously, you're going to have a camera on the count and then a camera on you guys, right?
Basically, all the talent from CCTV is drained from the building.
Wow. Okay.
And they're going to be at the senior center, and they really know what they're doing. They know the audio, the video.
Great.
Just getting the hookups so they can do the live broadcast.
So there sounds like there's a director of sorts there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Actually, I'm not sure who's in charge this year, but I'm pretty confident they're going to do a great job.
I'm very eager to see it.
Yeah, and it's and I'll perfect. I might as well say this. That I did it for the first time 4 years ago.
Okay.
So 2 elections ago. So Susanna and I had been asked to do this. I'd never done this kind of a program before.
So that was the first time you and Susanna did it together?
Yeah, and it's the first time I ever did a television broadcast on elections. So they asked me to do it, and we did no rehearsal, nothing, and it was this is absolute truth.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're giving the countdown. They go in something like 5, 4, 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether Susanna turned to me or I turned to Susanna and said, "Do you have any idea what we're doing?" I said, "I have no idea."
Well, the way you can do that, I mean that could have been funny. Probably was funny.
It was sort of inventing it on the fly at the time. Now having done it a couple of times, I mean, I'll go into it with some sense of what we might do. And, I always feel like it's a good idea. I have some paperwork that I can always draw from to.
Absolutely.
If there's.
So they're pretty good at telling you when you're off camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything's pretty clear.
Okay.
And that's nice having everybody kind of helping out.
And audio, because what if your audio? That's the whole.
Yeah. Oh,
people are afraid of that. Their audio stays on, and they hear something about someone.
Right.
So you're clear on that.
There's a really good Saturday Night Live skit about that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
A month or so ago. I won't get into the details.
Yes.
Right.
Where here we know we're live all the time, so it's not like we're never. We're live until those few minutes at the end of the segment, so we have to be careful. But there, you've got a mic.
Well, and one thing is, we're not just going to be there as the talking heads. What happens is
people bring guests
people
to you.
They will. The thing is the count ever since it was in the Longfellow School gym years ago. It's sort of a coming together of people, not only from the campaigns, but just interested parties.
Right.
People who've always taken interest. They just show up. It's like a big reunion.
Right.
The only real downside of having to be on the air is I'm not out there mixing with the crowd, which is sort of part of the fun. They get a few breaks, I think. But what they'll do is they'll sort of gophers will go out and find characters, and they'll come by and they'll give you a slip of note going, "Oh, so and so wants to be on here." Oh, okay, great.
And then you just make room for that guest, or
we kind of make it up as we go. They take a couple minutes break and then wire them up and do it. So we'll probably be interviewing some people over the many years of political history of Cambridge.
So not necessarily the candidates, although
you often have candidates or representative of the candidates,
right?
And it's a kind of a nerve-wracking moment to be there, but doing that, but it's still sort of good. And I have a lot of trust in the CCTV staff to go and just sort of pull people out and have it remain lively and relevant.
Have you watched the coverage once it's been done? Like
I
did you watch 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think I watched some of the program. It goes on. I think that's another thing I think it needs to be emphasized is just how long this can go on.
Right.
One of the reasons I dropped by Election Commission today, I wanted to find out some of the graphics that they're promising to have for the
with the live
so they'll have some sort
of the transfer.
So to do that now.
Did they clarify that?
If they're able to produce the graphics rapidly,
in real time,
essentially in real time, then they certainly have the capacity to rapidly go through the rounds of the election leading up to the announcement of the winners. Okay. But if there's going to be any real time involved making that happen, then they'll probably will simply just announce the winners and then say stick around, and then we'll illustrate it graphically afterwards.
Seems to me that might be easier for them to do that.
I think it's probably easier, and since this is the first time, honestly, I think anything will be
maybe some glitches.
Anything will be good though, just to give people a sense of what goes on.
So do they not let people in the count itself? If you're an outsider, you just have to hang out in the hallway or where you are.
There's different periods. There's the period when they're bringing the ballots in, where they have it all roped off lined with police.
Oh, that must be dramatic.
Oh, it's actually kind of exciting. Yeah.
I'll miss that because I'm not going to get there till about 9.
Sergeant Crowley's often sort of the police guy in charge. And and they're escorting in, the commissioners are coming with the data cards, and it's very secure, chain of custody oriented, because it's a serious
matter. That's right,
matter.
because they actually don't come in right away, because it doesn't close till 8. So when is the earliest the first result?
There are many things. Well, the thing is, there are some precincts that are relatively small and relatively inactive, so they can kind of close up shop and seal the ballot boxes and do all of that in relatively short order. So
right, because maybe just one person coming in like right before 8.
So if the polls close at 8, it might take 15 minutes or more for the first precincts to start arriving.
Who actually transports these?
I believe the election commissioners are the ones who are in charge.
They have to be vetted, I guess, right? Because a lot could happen. I watch too much television, but a lot could happen between the picking it up and getting it to where it has to be counted, right?
Potentially, sure. But one of the great things...
stuffing it.
Well, one of the great things about the system that we have, and it's something you only really come to appreciate if there's a recount, is that we do have scannable paper ballots. So even if
it's on a,
even if the memory cards were to just evaporate, then you could just,
it's somewhere in the cloud or somewhere in a drive or something.
No, even if they didn't have it, what you do, you go, oh well, excuse me, please. Throw that card away. We still have the paper ballots, and they just crack open another scanner.
So where are those paper ballots? Are they in that big box?
When you go to vote, there's a scanner. It actually rests on a big black stand.
Right.
The black stand is the ballot box. So
it goes
it just takes it in,
and
if it accepts it, it just drops it right in, and so it's in the box.
Okay.
There are things that they call auxiliary ballots, which are the ones that will not be counted today.
Okay.
They're the ones that have write-ins that were detected or otherwise problematic. Those ones will be adjudicated on Wednesday. We call those all auxiliary ballots.
Okay, but
and those get set aside inside the ballot box. So
they
pull those out on Wednesday and check those out.
How do they get set? Oh, there's a special place that the election person
there's a divider in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
what happens to those ballots? They take them out of the box?
Well, the ones that
or is it all on a computer somewhere?
They do take them all out. The thing is, when you scan them, it records it, ballot images. I don't mean image like a photograph. Image, but just the record of how a person voted. It's
and where does that exist? Is there a printout of that?
No. That exists on a little memory card.
And what happens to that memory card?
Then what happens? There will be 34 precincts, so there will be 34 memory cards.
And someone takes that out of the box.
Right, so those are pulled out, and then those ones are actually delivered even, I think.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Is that taken out before the actual box gets to the senior center?
I think I can get the data quick, so that may arrive.
So that's another person.
I think it may come simultaneously, but I don't actually remember.
All right, well that's interesting. Okay, so those little smart drives or whatever come out.
Oh, these are dumb drives.
Dumb drives, all right.
It's sort of old technology now that we've been using the same.
Really?
I mean, I remember when they were brand new. But they are.
It's a memory card, though, right?
Yeah, memory cards. But the thing is that nowadays, you typically see memory storage devices of many gigabytes. These are 128 kilobyte memory cards.
What? How does it have all that information on it?
Well, for a typical election, all you really need are the totals. But for Cambridge municipal elections, you actually have to record all the preferences.
Exactly. So I'm surprised it's
so we use them a lot more. We use a lot more of the memory than a typical election would.
Okay. But it's still enough.
Well, there was a heavy turnout election, I think it was 2003, where they actually went over the top and it zeroed out the counters, and then they just had to rescan all the ballots.
Well, why can't they just get a larger memory chip?
Because it's not compatible with the 20-year-old technology.
Oh, they've got to do something.
That's a conversation that's going to have to happen in the next year or so.
It could happen tonight. There could be a glitch. Maybe some precinct was.
If it happens,
they'll just have to rescan.
Then you just rescan the ballots.
I know, but
I know it's a delay, and nobody wants.
Okay, but that's an interesting piece of the process that I didn't know. So what are they doing first? They're looking at the memory chip first.
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll gather up the 34 memory cards, and then they go into a device that outputs a little ASCII text file, which is the one that's then
an actual printout.
Right, and then that's then sent to the computer where the tabulation software lives. So and then it's all queued up. So it just as soon as it gets the files onto the machine, then you just go boop, and it just like 2 seconds later, election results are ready. So it's all sort of in
Okay,
the
but,
anticipation.
Okay, because obviously the ones, they have to do all the ones first to see what the total,
Well, actually, all of it's done together.
or all the ballots first to see how many people voted in order to determine quota, right?
That's all determined simultaneously.
Right,
actually.
that's what I mean.
Anyway, we're down to our 10-second
Okay.
mark here.
And we
So,
will, I guess, have more to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, we'll carry on. Maybe we'll do the huddle. So anyways,
All right.
see you in a minute.
Okay, bye-bye.